Tonight, man. Listen, people, if you guys don't know, Donald Trump Jr.
What's happening, guys? I'm going to follow along with the stream here as well.
Yeah, number one, amazing time, amazing dinner yesterday. I told you from I met you, right? I was like, the first thing that I was so shocked by, I was like, you're so down to earth. Like, just like you come across like a regular person.
I think it's sort of the, listen, I get that I've been blessed. Like, I totally understand that. But both my parents were sort of really, they made sure we understood how lucky we were. My mom, she escaped communist Czechoslovakia, right?
Yeah.
Like, under that time. And so growing up, like, from the age of 5 or 6, she sent me there every summer in the 80s, like, behind the Iron Curtain. And it was like, oh, I get it. And so I think we just had an appreciation for our country, how lucky we were. We always got it.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, I was, like, walking through Mar-a-Lago yesterday, I was like, I was kind of surprised that, like, you get your hands dirty, like, a good amount. Like, this is how I thought. Let me give you the perception, right? Mm-hmm. And, I have a bunch of questions that, certain people knew I was going to be and said, like, if you don't ask him this, like, you can't come back, right? So we'll get to that. But first impression, when Chris hits me, he's like, yo, you're going to go sit down with Donald Trump Jr., I'm like, all right, this is going to be a thing where I probably don't even get to connect with you, even on a personal level, just because I'm thinking, like, you're surrounded by security, staffers, a million people, except you, like, you pull up.
I was your driver last night.
Yeah, you were, exactly. And I remember meeting you at UFC when I met your dad.
Down in Miami.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great night.
And I remember when I was trying to get a picture taken with your dad, and then you're the first one who was like, no, I'll take the picture, it's cool. And for whatever reason, that shocked me a little bit. Just because, like, we kind of, the perception that I have of, someone of that opulence or that stature, is like, yeah, you probably don't do regular things or you don't move around like a regular person.
Yes. I mean, like I said, I get some of those things. I think for us, it was always, with my dad, it was like, hey, man, if you're going to get into real estate, you're going to build buildings, like, you better know how to dig the foundation.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I mean, I worked on job sites my whole life as a kid growing up, right? I put up sheetrock. I dug foundations. I ran chainsaws, clearing landscaping stuff for golf courses. So, his logic was like, we started at the bottom rung and sort of worked. That way, hey, when you go build it eventually, like, you know how much it costs, you know how long it takes, you understand what goes into it, and no one's going to bullshit you.
Yeah.
So, there was a component of really actually understanding, and I think he was very different than probably a lot of the friends I grew up with in, like, New York City. And again, I don't pretend like I came from, I grew up on the 70th floor of Trump Tower. Like, what I mean? Like, it's different, but, like, he made sure we understood that other side and that we worked that way. It wasn't like, congratulations, here's your corner office, and, now you start learning. It was really different. I started working at, 13 away for summers, and, like, that's what we did. And then my mom was the same way, kind of pushing that. So they always understood that. That's not to say, we weren't spoiled, but we were spoiled with, like, cool experiences. We got to hang out with some pretty cool people. We had some funny conversations last night about that. Like,
you told me you lived next door to Michael Jackson.
I did. Michael literally lived next door to us for, like, a couple of years in Trump Tower. Like, I used to play Nintendo with Michael Jackson growing up as a kid, and Michael was a unique guy. I mean, one of the great talents probably anywhere. Had his own, I guess, some issues just, growing up in that kind of stardom. And
hold on, are we talking about white-faced Michael or black-faced Michael?
I mean, transitional Michael. Like, like, this is sort of in between, right?
Mulatto Michael, like, I get it.
My soft voice, but that was always kind of the case. But, like, my first concert was Thriller.
Yeah, okay.
Right, which was like, and that was a time where, like, we can talk about Drake and Kendrick and Jay-Z and whoever it is. Like, at that time, there was one dude, and it was Michael. Like, it wasn't like, who's the biggest, dude, there was one guy, and it was Michael. And, like, like I said, he was our neighbor for years, but he also was, like, sort of, like, very different than those other guys, right? Like, he was, like, a big kid, basically. I think he never really probably had a childhood. He was pushed into stardom. Whoever it was, they just, worked him for so long that, like, honestly, I think, like, hanging out with us at times was like, he got to be a kid, even if he was, I don't know, in his 30s, what I mean? Like, I was 12, you know what I mean? And I remember I got pissed at Michael one time because I was playing with my brother and him, and we got, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And, again, my parents made us work for stuff that we wanted. We lived in Trump Tower, but, like, if we wanted something like, here's the goal, you got to go work for it, you'll get it. And so, Michael's like, this is peak Michael, and it was like, he loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Nintendo game that we were playing.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, oh yeah, you should just take it. I'm like, what? Like it's Michael Jackson. He can call someone at Nintendo. They'll send it to him. And he was like, oh yeah, that's great. I'll take it. I'm like, motherfucker,
Mike,
took my Nintendo game. I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
But it was cool. So yeah, no, it was interesting growing up that way.
Wow. Among the many people you've met, you're still keeping how was your father like in his demeanor with you? Because it felt like there was a lot of discipline. Like even just talking to you yesterday.
Yeah.
And that had to be instilled in you. And how do you do that, though? Like
honestly, that's probably my mom.
Really?
That was my mom. Like my mom, was like that Eastern European. Like nope. Like we grew up in communism. Like
yeah.
She took care of business that way. Like my dad, I think he got. He made himself available, but it was on his terms. Like, it's like, if I was with him, it's like, we're going to go look at a job site. And you can always come, but like, we weren't playing catch. We were going on a job site.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was different. My mom was sort of the drill sergeant. Like, no, this is what you're doing. She's really good management. My dad kind of took over once it's like, oh, you're done with business school. Now your ass is mine.
Yeah.
Now I can, so it was unconventional, but it sort of worked.
Yeah. So, in the world I come from,